It is finally here, March 29th, 2017. Brexit Article 50 has been induced. We're divorced, not we, but you guys are divorcing the EU, but it feels like we are too. So Leah and I, we do not drink, but we have sparkling grape juice, and we would like to make a toast to you all. We're smoking in your face. Leah made cupcakes for Kansas's birthday. They're still here. Britain never, ever, ever will be the European Union slaves. That's Yay! It's like a birthday. I'm so excited about this.
Yes, we're very happy.
We're happy for you. We're happy for us. We're happy that the EU is going to...
I have to say, though, that some of the newscasting...
They seem a little...
Sky News put out what it means now, and she seemed rather chipper and cheery and laughing the whole way, but I wasn't going to play it for you guys because, daggum, she was depressing.
She was depressing. Let's go to somebody who's not depressing, and you'll notice that this guy interviewing him kind of is depressing a little bit.
Of course, for many people, this is a disappointing day. The fact that Article 50...
Not for most of you, actually.
It is a day of celebration, and who else should be celebrating, of course, in this day? And who else will be doing it with a pint in his hand, apart from Nigel Farage, the former leader of UKIP?
Look how happy he is. He's giddy.
How do you feel?
Today's the day for me. After 25 years of campaigning,
no, you're alright. He's above you.
The impossible dream came true. I'm delighted.
Well, what do you say to people, genuinely, the 48% who voted to stay in, who find today is a disappointing day?
Come on, keep up with the main party. It may have been 48% on June 23rd last year. Things have changed hugely. You know, consistent opinion polls now showing nearly 70% of the population want the government to get on with Brexit.
Get on with it.
It's going to be, you have to accept it's going to be a difficult, at least 2 years ahead with this negotiation. It's not going to be an easy task, is it?
That depends. That really depends.
Well, because ultimately, you want us, though, potentially to leave with no deal at all. Is that what you want?
No. I want us to leave with a sensible free trade deal in place, fully understanding that we are actually their most important export market in the world. I mean, they call us Treasure Island, for goodness sake. So what we have to do is to approach this correctly, to recognise there may be politicians in Europe who are prepared to damage their own workers' interests to try and keep this crumbling union together. So what we have to do is not just negotiate in the corridors and smokeless rooms of Brussels. We need to get out there, into Munich, into the French wine-producing regions, into the areas where they export huge number of goods to Britain to get them to put pressure on their own politicians.
You talk about crumbling union. Are you prepared to accept the breakup of this union, of the United Kingdom, in order to get a hard deal?
No, I don't believe it at all. But actually, I think, to be honest with you, Scottish separation looks further away now than it's looked for a long, long time.
Oh, that's really interesting.
So, okay, is this the first of many?
It's the first.
I just thought that was just so much fun to start it out with that. But just to give our American viewers kind of a summary here, this is what was put out by the Associated Press. It says, the United Kingdom filed for divorce from the European Union on Wednesday, overturning 4 decades of integration with its neighbors, demolishing the notion that the EU expansion is inevitable. I love that. And shaking the foundations of a bloc that is facing challenges to its identity and its place in the world. Britain's top envoy to the EU, Tim Barrow, hand-delivered a letter to European Council President Donald Tusk, formally triggering a 2-year countdown to the final split. Today, the government acts on the democratic will of the British people, Prime Minister Theresa May told lawmakers in the House of Commons, adding, "This is an historic moment from which there can be no turning back." There is no reason to pretend this is a happy day, Tusk told reporters. We disagree.
I was listening to Donald Tusk, and it was quite
Yeah, of course he's depressed, because it is signaling the crumbling of the European Union.
To Britain, he already said we missed you.
I know.
Right there, we haven't gone anywhere. But that's the whole point I think people need to understand. It's kind of like, this is... In this divorce settlement, it's basically just saying Britain wants to be its own country.
Yeah.
They do not want... I mean, I really should bring up the Nigel Farage speech where he says, you control olive oil! This is insanity!
Right.
And actually, we should bring up where... why does his name always come from me? Tommy
Robinson.
Tommy Robinson. He was going around the streets of Britain. A lot of you sent us that video where he's asking people,
The Remainers.
Do you know anything about the EU?
Who's the president of the EU?
Who's the president of EU? They don't know
They have
anything
no idea. How
about
much does it cost for us to stay in the European Union? They had no clue whatsoever. For Britons who voted 52 to 48% to leave the bloc in a referendum 9 months ago, it was time for celebration. I voted for Brexit, and today is the day that vote starts to count, says Charles Goodacre, a former taxi driver in the northern England city of Sunderland. Things have been bad round here for a while, and we needed a change. Former UK Independence Party leader Nigel Farage, who campaigned for years to make Brexit from fringe
from fringe to reality,
said that Britain had passed the point of no return. I can still, to be honest with you, scarcely believe today has come, he said. Others worried Britain was going to take us a leap in the dark. No one knows how this is going to go, said Nicola Gibson, who works in London's financial district. It's a gamble, it's a risk. It's a bit like Trump. It's such an uncertain place at the moment. Well, guess what? Like Trump, it seems to be going okay. I think you'll be fine. Those who campaigned for Britain to stay in the EU say they will now fight for a divorce settlement that preserves what they see as key benefits of EU membership, including free trade in goods and services and the right to live and work anywhere in the bloc. May's 6-page letter to Tusk was polite and conciliatory, stressing that Britons want to remain committed partners and allies to our friends across the continent. She said the two sides should engage with one another constructively and respectively in a spirit of sincere cooperation. But there was a hint of steel in May's assertion that without a good deal, our cooperation in the fight against crime and terrorism would be weakened. That could be seen by some in Europe as a threat to withdraw British security cooperation in the UK if the UK does not get its way. The loss of a major member is destabilizing for the EU, which is battling to contain a tide of nationalists and populist sentiment and faces unprecedented antipathy from the new resident of the White House, Donald Trump. And I want to go down to... Let's see. All right. The two sides now have until March 2019 to agree on a divorce settlement and, if possible, establish a new relationship between Britain, the world's 5th largest economy, and the EU, a vast single market taking in 500 million people. So if you guys want to, we will have the link to the actual letter here. It was very long, but one thing that I thought was really interesting was if however we leave the European Union without an agreement, the default position is that we would have to trade on World Trade Organization terms. In security terms, a failure to reach agreement would mean our cooperation in the fight against crime and terrorism would be weakened. In this kind of scenario, both the United Kingdom and the European Union would of course cope with the change, but it is not the outcome that either side should seek. We must therefore work hard to avoid that outcome. So yeah, I think you should avoid that outcome, but Nigel doesn't seem to be that concerned.
Listen, people have been doing trade for years and years and years. We had this thing, it's called the internet. People buy things on Amazon all the time. People make trades. Most people are looking for goods and services online anyways. They're looking in different countries. I mean, Europe is just like the same size about the United States, with all the different states. So if I want to go to Indiana, I'm going to Google something and you just make things happen. People make things happen.
Absolutely.
Governments don't make things happen. People do.
Right.
So what this whole thing is blown out of proportion because you're like a bunch of babies getting their pacifier taken out of your mouth, crying and whining. What if the government isn't there to do this or do that, do this or do that, or protect us from, the government is there to protect you from foreign invaders and to make sure that trade between the nations is actually, and it's beneficial to your country.
Right. And Trump came out and he was like, listen, America first. Britain first.
Every nation has the responsibility to put your citizens first.
We want to wrap it up with Katie Hopkins.
Really, we should say we want to wrap it up.
You want to wrap it up with Katie Hopkins.
I am excited because we voted leave. We voted to leave the EU, and so far we've not heard anybody stand up for the 52% of you who voted to leave, who dared to dream, who bet against the market and said, yes, we can get our country back. And I want to hear from you this morning because I'm sick of all of this liberal whinging because you lost. You lost the vote, so suck it up is what I'm telling you. I'm telling other presenters here too. suck it up, because we won. Leave won. We are going to have our country back. We are going to control our own laws. We are going to control our own legislation. We are not going to be told what to do by a bunch of bureaucrats in Brussels, all of whom I have to say are quite short as well. And we are not going to have ever closer union for our country. And we will not allow our old people to be frightened by our own politicians that we elected into power. And we will show people that we are better than that. And once people have stopped their collective whinging, we will come back better, stronger, and a Britain that is greater.
Well said, Miss Hopkins. Here. All right, you guys, so this wraps up our celebration of the day. This is Lee Michelle signing off for Resistance Chicks, where it's not a conspiracy theory if it's the truth. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Mass Faith 3 and Resistance Chicks. Ring the bell for notifications, and find us on Facebook and Twitter. And we will be eagerly watching the next 700 and some odd days. There's a countdown on Sky News, literally
You're
hour by hour.
going to be fine. Nothing bad has happened.
Breathe, the rest of you. Everybody else is celebrating, but for those of you that are panicking, grab a paper bag. You know, you'll be fine.
And you know what? The globalists have not done a very good job of the scare tactics. I mean, really, the globalists are really upset, but they really don't have anything to say, because the arguments to leave are so profound.
Exactly.
That they really have just, all they can do is try to push some fear and some, well, maybe what if we don't have the ability to... You'll be fine.
You'll be okay.
You'll be fine.
All right, so cheers again to you all people.
Hear, hear.
Across the pond, we love you, and we want to see you keep coming back for more. The next 2 years are going to be fantastic for you.
Yes.
I was cold.